The Goblin here is by far my favorite unit from this DLC. Don't tell anyone because I'm, known as an Empire main, but yes, this is by far the most unit of any unit in the DLC. It is definitely a unit in this DLC. That's and let's just get straight to it. Honestly, there's so much going on here we got to talk about. Number one thing to note is this is crewed by Slayers, and they're actual Slayers, right? Like, they've got full Slayer HP, they've got full Slayer stats, anti-large, the full 9 yards and all that. It's also very fast for artillery, but you'll notice it doesn't have a whole lot of ammunition and only has 80 range. So essentially it's not really artillery. It's more like a weapons team, but really with very limited ammunition. So it's kind of like Slayers with precursor throwing axes, and then you get a terrain piece once the throwing axes are expended, because you'll have these sitting there and your Slayers can fight in melee, and if large units, in my experience, try and get in here, they can sometimes get caught up on these Goblin Heroes. I haven't really highlighted them in any battles because, honestly, I didn't really get any multiplayer battles with them in early access that were worth showing, and I think it did get one, but it did get corrupted, unfortunately. But yeah, it's a unit that's hard to make work in practice. Like, it's weird, and that's why I love it, honestly. It's 1,000 points, which is quite a bit, but today, this replay from Pigman featuring 2 of them, I just had to show you guys. When I saw this build, I mean, he's got 2 of them, he's got 3 Hammerers, 2 Thunderers, and the new Grimdelver's Grudgeraker Thunderers. We have the shotguns and Frenzy, actually, and Vanguard. Gives them very solid stats. Front line of Dwarf Warriors with Thorek Ironbrow, and then we've got a bunch of Marauder Horsemen with throwing axes and javelins on the opposite side. Azazel here, plus Marauders with great weapons, Chaos Trolls, and Bile Trolls. Nice new Bile Trolls coming in hot there for the Warriors of Chaos. So let's get things rolling. As we see some Vein of Slanesh used on one of those Thunderers, but man, those Grudge Rakers definitely punishing. And so far, Pigman's just going to kind of sit patiently and wait to deploy these Goblin Heroes. You definitely have to be very mindful, to use a nice buzzword of the day. You have to be very mindful about where and when you deploy these Goblin Heroes, because they do have such limited ammunition. Like here, by far the most, look how fast these guys are too, the most valuable targets in a lot of ways are these Trolls, especially if you can just shock them off quickly. Like, there's no high value infantry or anything else here, so this makes a lot of sense. Look how fast they're able to get into range here, and when they're square on a target like this, they can just dump those throwing axes in one of the most ridiculous displays I've ever seen in Total War. These guys losing a model there to some throwing javelins and axes, but able to pretty much immediately rout the Chaos Trolls. And even at that, had the Chaos Trolls been able to make contact there, I mean, of course they are Slayers, as we'll see in a minute. This side also dumping their ammunition. They're able to just straight shatter the unit of Bile Trolls on that side. So same thing over here, just the precursor axes. So when they can dump their ammunition, they do heinous amounts of damage, and then they're out of ammunition, and then they can fight in melee, and they're Slayers, and it's great, honestly. I love it so much. Yes. Hammer's getting in a nice charge here. Dwarven front line gonna break. Thunderer's getting caught up there, also broken. That's fine. The Slayers and the Hammerers can get in here and start to absolutely mess these Marauders' day. You can see here, though, one downside of the Goblin Hero also being evident. Azazel gets slowed here, but they're low range and sort of an inability to get set and start shooting. It's kind of an old artillery bug, right? They can't really start firing until they're all set in place, which is a little bit archaic. And here also you see the Marauder Horsemen kind of pull around that arc very tightly. They're just completely unable to turn and fire at them, and it takes them quite some time. Had the Marauder Horsemen charge them, I mean, granted, they're Slayers. So also, look at those shotguns up close, man. Absolutely devastating. Not a unit, again, that I had highlighted too much in the early access, but another reason why I love to get this in the hands of the community is it just generates vastly more replays for me to look at and showcase for you guys. Creativity of the crowd is much greater than just mine on my own. But yeah, you can see over here, I mean, they're Slayers. They're fighting here with hammers, full on like Slayers. So it's definitely a unit that is going to be in the game. Probably won't be in many tournament builds. I don't know. I may post a bounty at some point, because I'm going to start hosting more events quite soon. I have some announcements coming very shortly, so be sure to stay tuned for that. But yes, Yeah, maybe I'll post a bounty for like X number of wins featuring the Goblin Hewer, and you have to save all your replays, obviously, to document. But yeah, it's definitely one of those units that's just in the meme material, absolutely. I mean, this one already 1500 value. So if you are judicious about using your ammo and deploy them in the right situation, they can pay for themselves, but like this one, they can also very easily not. I mean, they are Slayers, so they're going to be very vulnerable to getting shot by archers, and I mean, enemy archers shooting your artillery was already kind of a problem for the Dwarfs. Like, that was already a viable counter for a lot of factions to take just massive archers and try and gun down their artillery. I guess bow down their artillery. Since the artillery crews themselves have low armor, and certainly the Goblin Hewer is no exception to that. But again, it's not really an artillery. It's not how you should think about it. It is... I don't know how you should think about it, to be honest. Think however you want about it. But it is what it is. It certainly has some use cases, which are very interesting. I hear they're going to send these Marauder Horsemen packing and then continue to duel Azazel, because, of course, they are Slayers. They are unbreakable, so they'll fight to the last here as the cannons just pound him at short range. Wow, Azazel just gets evaporated into pink demonic mist. And, yeah, that will be the game right there. So, wow, look at that. Look at that death pose. I love that so much. Azazel's so happy to be free and then just dies. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, big thanks to Figman for sending that one in. I absolutely made my day. Honestly, I was feeling a little down today. This picked me right back up. Because how can you not enjoy this? I mean, I get, you know, the Thunder Barge is super OP. There's a lot of discussion around this DLC and balance and all that jazz. But this is certainly one of those units that, like, by design, it's possible it could be insanely OP if they gave it a lot of ammunition. But as it is, like, it's tricky to make it work. Yes, it can be powerful and hilarious, but I love it, to be honest. Just pure style all the way. Yeah, the Grimdelvers also, this Regiment of Renowned Thunder, is able to get a nice amount of value. They're definitely a unit that I had overlooked in the early access. Not that I had played a ton of Dwarfs, to be honest. It was mostly focusing on the Empire. But yeah, I'll definitely have to give them another look, and you'll probably see them in a lot of battles going forward. Thorek, of course, is what he always has been. Hammers don't have a lot of elites to kill, but they certainly clobber a lot of hordes of enemies, so we'll definitely see some use there. Fun one for sure for Kaiju here. Yeah, on this side. It's a tough one. I mean, Dwarfs have a lot more options and tools now, so I'd have to really sit down and kind of theory craft from Warriors of Chaos perspective. The Trolls were definitely a play, but I just feel like Dwarfs have too many tools to kill them now. I don't know. I feel like that matchup might just be completely hopeless, even with the Thunder Barge being banned, just because Dwarfs are a lot more potent now and can have some different things they can do. I don't know. You guys will have to let me know down in the comments below your experience fighting Dwarfs with any faction, to be honest, in this new patch. That's it for today, though. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.